Welcome back to another keyboard video on the channel, and today's one is a fun one. I'm going to be doing a full build and review of what's shaping up to be my most unique keyboard yet, the MoeeTech Glitter65 R2. But before we do that, I just want to let you know that this video was sponsored by MoeeTech. They provided the glitter free of charge for the purpose of this review, but rest assured, all opinions here today are completely my own and unbiased. Akko and KeyTalk also made this one possible by providing the keycaps and switches I'm going to be using. Without further ado, let's get this thing unboxed and get into the build. Straight away, the packaging caught my eye, and getting inside, by far one of the coolest additions to a keyboard package is this satchel carry bag. It's actually really good quality with several compartments and this accompanying badge on the front. So far so good, though my pessimistic side is hoping they're not breaking the fall with this. Alright, moving swiftly on, the kit comes in another one of these nice fabric sleeves. The rest of the box contains this fittings pouch, internal case piece, and the PCB pack. The fittings pouch is packed with lots of goodies, including this branded ruler, the PCB connector cable, a set of rubber case feet, some screws, this silicone there which I'll explain about shortly, and finally a complimentary sticker sheet. Alright, so yeah, MoeeTech are definitely getting things started off on the right foot with this unboxing experience. I still find it so cool to see this bag included. Kudos MoeeTech. I hope the board lives up to the unboxing. I've got the Ultra variant on hand for this review, which comes in at $179.99 USD, though you can opt for the Pro version that drops some features for $149.99 USD. Alright, let's get into the build process, shall we? And starting things off, the first thing to mention is that this is a plateless assembly. You get the PCB in this polycarbonate G tray, and the whole thing is designed to slide into the case. The PCB itself is 5-pin hot swappable as well as solderable if you want to go down that route, which isn't something we often get to see. It's also non-flex cut with split spacebar as well as screw-in stabilizer support. Things get really interesting when we move to the rear I/O, where you're getting two USB-A pass-through ports, the standard USB-C, as well as an SD card reader. The card reader is capped at 480 megabits per second, which is pretty slow. Definitely too slow for the type of footage I work with, but its inclusion is cool nonetheless, and if you're in a pinch, it will work. Besides the PCB, you also get a single layer of case foam. Alright, let's get this thing assembled. The kit doesn't come with stabilizers, so you will have to source your own preferred choice. I had these Akko stabs to hand, so that's what I'll be using. Now, fair warning, I didn't get a chance to tune them, and these run pretty rattly stock, so just so you know, that's not a representation of the glitter itself. Alright, next up, connecting the power cable from the daughterboard to the PCB, and just exercise caution here because it's not the longest. Once that's done, you'll need to screw this metal piece to the G tray, as you see me doing here, and at this point we can slide the whole unit into the case itself. I found sliding the whole thing in a bit clunky, and it got caught a few times, but once you get it in, it fits snug. Then you just need to screw the final top piece and the frame of the board is built. The last thing I needed to do then was just stick the rubber case feet in each corner and insert this silicone layer. More on this headache shortly. Right, then it was time for keycaps and switches, and for this I'm going to be using these newly released Akko Cilantros. Getting them out of the box gave me a nice surprise, and if you own any Akko switches, you'll know that they don't usually come in this hard plastic case. I don't know, this is just so much cooler than the usual packaging. So they're a 5-pin early tactile switch with a total travel of 3.5mm, with that tactile bump being all the way up at 0.2mm, and yeah, that's definitely something interesting to get used to, especially when the tactile force is about 56 grams, so they're a pretty heavy switch all in all. Now, as I got them installed in the board, I got to the bottom row, and the silicone layer basically just wasn't cut accurately enough, that most of the bottom row switches weren't seating into their sockets. After loads of trial and error, I ended up just getting the scissors out and cutting a decent amount of material off before I could get all my switches installed. So that's one major piece of feedback from MoeeTech if you're watching. Alright, moving on to keycaps, and I've got this exclusive Turn to 90s set from KeyTalk. They come packaged in this premium magnetic cardboard box with the inclusion of a keycap puller. They're a full 162 key set, die sub in the smile profile, and from what I can tell, this is essentially the cherry profile we all know and love, with that extra rounded smiling bottom. Overall, they're a really nice high quality set, and I think they suit the playful theme I was going for here with this glitter build. Link will be in the description if you want to check them out for yourself. And that about concludes the build portion of the video. Alright, let's take a look at the fully assembled Glitter R2 as a whole. So the case is made up of, for the most part, a single piece of 6063 aluminium alloy with a nice smooth finish, and these side sloping seamless edges. My fully assembled build weighs in at just under 1.9 kg, so this thing is beefy. It feels like a solid piece of keyboard, you know what I mean? The underside is completely minimal with the MoeeTech brand logo machined into the case and those rubber case feet we installed earlier, so no height adjustability as per metal keyboard standards. Based on my measurements, the glitter has a 22mm front height and a 32mm back height, giving the board a roughly 6-degree typing angle, which I personally had no gripes typing on over longer periods of time. So the glitter is a 65% non-exploded ANSI only layout. For connectivity, it's wire only, which might be a detractor for some, but specifically for the wireless portability standpoint, this thing is too heavy to bring anywhere, so plugged in at my desk is where you'll find it. The USB-C port, as well as the already mentioned I/O, is situated on the back edge piece we screwed down. In terms of RGB, well, there's no backlighting, but the elephant in the room is this big, what MoeeTech are dubbing their glitter ring. I'll spare the obvious description of this thing, but honestly, yeah, I really like the novelty aspect. It's obviously unique, though I can see it being maybe a little polarizing. I do want to point out that the RGB ring ships somewhere around 25% brightness out of the box, so don't worry if it looks dim at first. You can dial it all the way up where it does become really nice and bright. Alright, that brings me on to software support, and for the glitter we're getting full vial support. Not via, vial. It's just as reputable and still no downloading required. In here you can play around with the settings on that RGB ring, as well as other bits and pieces like key remapping, macro creation, and other random bits and bobs. Alright, I've left it long enough. Let's talk about how this keyboard actually sounds. Now, being a bare bones kit, your choice of stabs, switches, and keycaps are all going to bear effect on the overall sound, but what I found is that the glitter produces a louder, pure clack, thanks to the only foam layer being in the bottom case and the silicone layer on the PCB. In terms of feel, it is on the firmer side with that plateless build and the silicone layer. Do try overlook the stabilizer ping you're going to hear, but just on that, what are your go-to stabilizers, whether that be clip-in or screw-in? Enjoy the sound test. So, where does that leave us with the Glitter65 R2? It's a keyboard that brings something different to the table. From the plateless build and the rear I/O options to the eye-catching RGB ring, it's clearly designed to stand out. The unboxing experience was genuinely impressive, and once built, it has the kind of weight and presence that makes it feel like a proper premium board. The build process wasn't without its hiccups though, particularly that silicone layer needing a trim, but honestly, that was the only real stumbling block. A major one at that. The sound profile leans more clacky than talky, with a nice clean tone, and the whole experience felt refreshingly unique. If you're looking for a keyboard kit that breaks away from the norm, offers a fair bit of flair, and still feels solid and satisfying to use, the Glitter65 R2 is definitely worth a look. Alright, that's going to be it for my review of the Glitter65 R2. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like, and if you're feeling extra generous, maybe subscribe. It's free to do. Another huge thanks to the people over at MoeeTech, Acco, and Keytalk for making this one possible.